right, beautiful. We're reading in the text, chapter 22, Salvation and the Holy Relationship, in section 5, paragraph 4. How weak is fear, how little and how meaningless, how insignificant before the quiet strength of those whom love has joined. I just love that. How weak is fear? How little, how meaningless. Let's just pause here and take a moment to reflect on that, because what we fear, let's be honest, when we're being hostage to ego, and A Course in Miracles says you really only have two choices. You can be host to God, or you can be hostage to ego. And if we're in fear, we know we're hostage to ego. So in that state, these things we fear seem so big and so serious. And a lot of our fears they're not physical. We're not afraid a lion's going to eat us. We're afraid of psychological things that aren't even real, that are literally just make-believe in our head. Or our self-fulfilling prophecies. Have you ever noticed how often things that we think about all the time, what you think about, you bring about? It's like, just to use some cliche examples, like the person who's so paranoid their partner's going to cheat, and they do all these crazy things to make sure they don't, and they're reading their phones and they're tracking them, and and then at a certain point, because they're afraid of losing their partner, but the behavior is so egregious that the partner can't stand being around them and leaves. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy a lot of the time. I've seen it in my own life, where the things I think about, I bring about. The things I'm afraid of, it's wild. It's wild how things you're afraid of, you will either intentionally or unintentionally create. Because you are a very powerful creator. And you can delude yourself and create nightmares, or you can have true vision and see God's world of truth. How weak is fear, how little and how meaningless, how insignificant before the quiet strength of those whom love has joined. This is your enemy, a frightened mouse that would attack the universe? How likely is it that it will succeed? Can it be difficult to disregard its feeble squeaks that tell of its omnipotence and would drown out the hymn of praise to its creator that every heart throughout the universe forever sings as one? Which is the stronger? Is it this tiny mouse or everything that God created? You and your brother are not joined together by this mouse, but by the will of God. And can a mouse betray whom God has joined? If you but recognize how little stands between you and your awareness of your union with your brother. Be not deceived by the illusions it presents of size and thickness, weight, solidity, and firmness of foundation. Yes, to the body's eyes, it looks like an enormous solid body, immovable, as is a mountain. Yet within you is a force that no illusions can resist. Wow! I'm going to read that again. Within you, beloved, this applies to you watching this video right now. Within you is a force that no illusions can resist. This body only seems to be immovable. This force is irresistible in truth. What then must happen when they come together? Can the illusion of immovability be long defended from what is quietly passed through and gone beyond? Forget not, when you feel the need arise to be defensive about anything, you have identified yourself with an illusion. This is so potent and this is so powerful. And I personally love how A Course in Miracles doesn't make exceptions. The first time I did the workbook for students, it kind of frustrated me because I was like, well, there are exceptions because this thing was so horrible that it doesn't apply and this can't be forgiven. I wanted there to be exceptions. It took me a long time to realize if you're going to make one exception, it's all an exception, because everybody has a different opinion on what's where the line is. It's ego that's making lines and making hierarchies and making better and worse and those divisions. These people are bad. If you're this type of person, you're a bad person. If you're this ethnicity or this nationality, they're bad. It's the ego's insane. Let's be honest. The ego's insane. We know that. Forget not, when you feel the need arise to be defensive about anything, you have identified yourself with an illusion. This is so powerful. About anything. Wow. This is like really sinking into my heart right now. And this isn't the first time I've read this. This is highlighted. I've read this. I've read these words before and they didn't sink in like they are right now. When you feel the need arise to be defensive about anything, you have identified yourself with an illusion. Let's sit with that today. On a practical level, when we feel this happens, right, throughout the day, someone says something, you hear something, you see something on the news, that defensive feeling rises up. Uh-oh. I know now, in that moment, okay, I'm being hostage to God, or I'm being hostage to ego. How do I become host to God? How do I go back into the frequency of love? How do I let go of this fear that, earlier we read is how weak is fear, how little, how meaningless. And know that if I'm being defensive about anything, I'm identified with an illusion. And I'm helping to feed the illusion. I'm helping to feed the nightmare. I'm participating in the nightmare. And we all have, so we don't need to beat ourselves up. But in this moment, if I'm participating in a nightmare, how do I pull myself out of the nightmare? Take a few deep breaths. For me, honestly, it can be that simple. Taking 3 slow, deep breaths, centering in my heart, and remembering these words. And allowing myself to feel the peace that I am. Thank you so much for being here. These concepts, they don't make any sense to ego because ego's crazy, and this is the truth. I'm really impressed and grateful for anyone who's willing to look past the illusion. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I love you so much. See you soon.